There are places where the traces of past accidents still remain along the roadside, a reminder that not every journey offers a second chance. Along towering mountain passes, tight hairpin turns cling to sheer cliffs, and narrow lanes allow just enough space for a single vehicle, leaving almost no room to correct a mistake. In some regions, the road is covered in ice. In others, it disappears beneath scorching desert sand or dense fog that swallows visibility into a blank field of risk. In remote and unforgiving landscapes, nature is not merely scenery, but the decisive force that determines who can pass. This is a journey across the world's most dangerous roads, where every turn of the wheel becomes a true test of skill and courage. Moki Dugway, USA. Manifesting as a perilous cut on 300-million-year-old sandstone cliffs, this road is an extreme psychological challenge with zigzag curves perched in mid-air. Built in the 1950s, this 3-mile journey was once a secret strategic path for transporting uranium ore for the American nuclear program during the Cold War. With a terrifying grade of 11%, this is one of the steepest roads in the nation, where trailers longer than 28 feet are strictly forbidden due to sharp turns. The drama peaks when driving downhill, as the nose of the car points straight into the deep blue void, creating an illusion of flying off the cliff before steering. As dusk falls, the shadow of the giant mountain stretches out to create a vast, dark zone in the valley, completely contrasting with the brilliant golden sunlight on the summit. Overcoming the boundaries of fear, Moki Dugway is not just an old military path, but a heroic epic of human conquest over the wild nature. Black Bear Pass, USA. Originally just a rough path for gold ore mules in the 19th century, this road has now turned into a death test for the most modern 4x4 machines. Cut directly into fragile shale rock, the road surface seems ready to collapse under wheel weight and waits to swallow the bold into the abyss. At the notorious step section, your car will tilt up to 25 degrees toward the cliff edge, where a slight shift in gravity means flipping over forever. Fear rises when you have to crawl over the top of a 365-foot waterfall, where freezing, rushing water creates deadly, slippery moss right at the turn. The tragic lesson of the crushed Jeep in 2020 remains, reminding us that a broken handbrake on a high slope is paid for with life. Only by overcoming this grave of the arrogant do you truly hold the most prestigious graduation degree of the professional off-road world. Trollstigen, Norway. Bearing the meaning of the Ladder of Giants, legend has it that this is the territory of mysterious troll demons who will instantly turn to stone if touched by sunlight. Surrounding the road are three towering peaks named the King, the Queen, and the Bishop, standing there like giants, playing a life-and-death chess game with tiny humans. The road itself is a geological battlefield carved into ancient gneiss mountain sides where tons of rocks still silently fall every year, threatening passers-by. The danger multiplies when a waterfall up to 1,050 feet high roars across, creating a perpetual rain screen that makes the road surface as slippery as grease. Looking down at the valley bottom, the river containing melted glacial flour bears a turquoise color, winding like a giant green snake, sleeping soundly at the foot of the mountain. Finally, the drama reaches its peak at the nearby vertical cliff over 3,280 feet high, where daredevils still secretly perform the craziest base jumps in Europe. Sani Pass, South Africa. Resembling a giant python slithering through the Dragon Mountains, this hellish road is the unique gateway connecting the ground with the kingdom in the sky. In the short final 6 miles, the altitude skyrockets insanely to 9,436 feet, challenging every law of physics. At the steepest points, the slope reaches a 1:3 ratio, forcing vehicles to strain themselves climbing vertically on loose and slippery gravel. The Z-shaped hairpin turns stacked densely on top of each other, creating a vertical maze with no escape for the faint-hearted. Fear overwhelms as the entire journey has absolutely no guardrails, where a small mistake will lead to a free fall into the abyss. The final destination is the continent's highest pub, where a beer will make you drunk twice as fast due to the breathtaking altitude. Rohtang Pass, India. Bearing the creepy name Pile of Corpses in the local language, this pass is a historical witness of thousands of lives swallowed by snowstorms in an instant. The life of the road is exchanged for the lives of workers clearing snow in sub-zero temperatures, with the haunting slogan, "Our blood mixes with the asphalt." At an altitude of nearly 13,000 feet, oxygen levels drop to only 60%, making changing a tire as exhausting as running 3 miles on the plains. Ironically, right in that oxygen-deprived space, thousands of cars are stuck bumper to bumper for 5 hours, emitting black smoke that melts eternal glaciers. The horror is most visible when looking down into the abyss without guardrails, where the wrecks of trucks that fell years ago still lie rusting as a silent warning. Ultimately, Rohtang is not just a traffic gateway, but a giant common grave where the boundary between life and death is more fragile than ever. Kardungla, India. Proudly reigning at a posted altitude of up to 18,380 feet, this place is likened to the roof of the motoring world, challenging every human survival limit. A brutal geographical paradox exists here, where snow covers everything, but the air is as dry as a desert, causing tourists' skin to crack from dehydration. The landscape remains only in deadly white and grey-brown, monotonous enough to cause permanent snow blindness without protective sunglasses. Looking down from the pass, the road winds like intestines perched on the abyss, where you absolutely must not stop for more than 20 minutes to avoid the risk of fatal brain swelling. Few know that this artery is maintained year-round only for the military to transport weapons to the world's highest battlefield, where cold kills more soldiers than bullets. Amidst that fierce land, millions of colorful flags still fly in the wind, carrying prayers for the liberation of souls who perished here to faraway places. Van Zil's Pass, Namibia. Under the harsh sun, the valley burns with brick red and deep purple, where twisted trees grow from rock crevices like dry skeletons begging for help. It is this creepy, primitive beauty that turns this place into a legendary holy grail, the harshest test that every off-road driver desires to conquer. However, death always lurks in the form of razor-sharp, sedimentary rocks, ready to slice through specialized tires like cutting a piece of butter with just a small mistake. Cruelty reaches its peak in summer when rock surface temperatures heat up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit, turning inflated wheels into ticking time bombs at any moment. Few suspect that this hellish road was created entirely by hand in the 1960s using only hammers, crowbars, and dynamite without heavy machinery support. Standing before that immense valley stretching endlessly, humans suddenly realize their extreme smallness like a speck of dust in the vast universe. Gotthard Pass, Switzerland. Hidden deep under the cold granite shell, this mountain is actually a giant sacred fortress, once hiding an underground city for 20,000 soldiers to stand fast. People compare it to a piece of porous cheese, where the mountain heart is carved by hundreds of miles of traffic and military tunnels intertwined in the dark. On the ground, the ancient stone-paved road winds like a grey-white ribbon thrown down the mountainside, creating artistic and dizzying zigzag curves. This is also the strangest climate wall on the continent, where you enter an 11-mile tunnel amidst a snowstorm and emerge on the other side under the glaring summer sun. Amidst that quiet space, the three-note bus horn sounds like an authoritative command, forcing every other vehicle to stop and yield absolutely. Above all, Gotthard is not merely a pass, but an immortal symbol of independence and self-determination of a whole nation against all foreign forces. Transfiguration Highway, Romania. Appearing like a crazy asphalt ribbon through the heart of the Carpathian Mountains, this road is where military history and nature blend in an overwhelming way. Carved into the cliffs by a dictator's order, in 1970, this military project consumed a massive amount of explosives to subdue the most stubborn granite blocks. The journey leads through a dark tunnel nearly 3,000 feet long, connecting slopes where waterfalls pour directly onto the road's surface, creating a haunting mist. The drama is real, as Transfiguration is the only place you encounter wild brown bears standing along the asphalt edge like uninvited guests. Due to extreme weather, this lazy road only awakens for about 4 months each year, spending the rest of the time completely buried under thick snow walls. At the highest point, the path embraces a deep blue, glacial lake, offering a chillingly silent beauty amidst the infinite majesty of the Romanian mountains. Mana Pass, India. Dubbed the Stairway to Heaven in ancient epics, this pass lies at a staggering altitude of over 18,400 feet, once holding the record as the world's highest motorable road. The conquest route is just a fragile thread of gravel hanging on the edge of the abyss, sandwiched between vertical shale cliffs like giant knives piercing the sky. At the peak, the surreal, clear, eternal glacial lake is the source of the only mythical river in the world, flowing invisibly underground. The paradox lies in marine fossils on the cliffs, proving that this roof of the world was once deep under the ocean floor millions of years ago. Right in these quiet caves, ancient sages meditated to compile the Holy Scriptures and the greatest epics in human history. Not just a geographical limit, this is a sacred holy land, the final intersection between earthly reality and the eternal realm. North Coast Road, Mauritius. Winding through the most beautiful bays of the Indian Ocean, this road is a giant natural swimming pool surrounded by coral reefs with an average depth of only about 6 feet. The landscape explodes with color in summer, when thousands of flamboyant trees bloom simultaneously, turning the road into a bright red tunnel of fire running for dozens of miles. The iconic highlight lies in the small church with a bright red roof right at the water's edge, a place to commemorate shipwrecks that became the most famous wedding photography sanctuary. Far offshore, the horizon is broken by a volcanic ruin rock island rising from the sea, shaped sharply like the dorsal fin of a giant shark over 500 feet high. This piece was once broken in 1810 when the British Army chose this very beach to launch a surprise landing to ambush the French instead of attacking the main port. Today, the vibrant rhythm of life returns with buses dubbed mobile discos, decorated colorfully and always playing music at full volume as they rush on the road. Cotopaxi Volcano Road, Ecuador. Located right on the unstable Ring of Fire, this winding dirt road is a breathtaking challenge, leading to the height of 15,092 feet in the heart of the majestic Andes. You will have to cross a land of daily minor earthquakes, where the perfect conical volcano is always ready to erupt destructive mud flows. The landscape here is hauntingly beautiful, with deep red cliffs and frozen lava blocks weighing tons perched on the roadside like unexploded bombs. The drama is pushed to a climax with downhill cycling services, where you rush at 43 miles per hour through fog and slippery gravel. When the mist clears, the lake at the mountain's foot appears like a giant mirror, capturing the magnificent silhouette of the mountain known as the Throat of the Moon. Overcoming the fear of lightning strikes or lack of oxygen, this journey is a profound reminder of human smallness before the primitive power of nature. Kahikili Highway, USA. Known as the most terrifying challenge in the Pacific, this road is only about 10 feet wide with absolutely no guardrails, where a small mistake will send you straight into the abyss. It clings tightly to millions of years old ancient lava cliffs, where wind and sea salt have eroded the rock into threatening, sharp, serrated shapes. The harshness peaks at sections near the sea level, when rough waves can crash dozens of feet high and spray white foam directly onto the windshield. After tropical rains, the scene becomes surreal with dozens of waterfalls pouring from the mountaintop onto the road surface, creating beautiful natural water curtains. Amidst that precipice, wild goat herds still calmly stand balanced on vertical cliffs, quietly watching the trembling cars pass by. All this ferocity is worthy of the name of King Kahekili, the legendary Thunder King with a black tattooed body who once ruled this land. Col du Chaussee, France. Dubbed the shoelaces of the Alps, this mountain pass is a geometric masterpiece defying physics as it clings tightly to a nearly 90-degree vertical limestone cliff. In just 11 months with primitive technology, humans created a miracle by stacking 17 consecutive hairpin turns within a distance of merely 2.5 miles. This breathtaking but challenging beauty caused the prestigious Tour de France to only dare route through here for the first time in 2015. Today, Col du Chaussee is not just a path leading to an altitude of 5,030 feet, but an eternal symbol of human will triumphing over majestic nature. Comble-la-Vallée Road, France. Like a magnificent scar carved into the mountain's heart, this balcony road hangs at an altitude of nearly 2,000 feet, equivalent to 2 Eiffel Towers stacked on top of each other. To create this horseshoe-shaped masterpiece, hundreds of workers had to hang on ropes for 37 long years to chisel the rock entirely by hand with hammers and dynamite. The driving experience becomes haunting as you pass through semi-open tunnels where sunlight shines through natural rock windows onto the dusty road surface. Real fear is reserved for the passenger as they feel like they are floating without support, at eye level with birds of prey gliding on thermal columns. Rising above the scenic beauty, this treacherous terrain was once a natural fortress sheltering resistance forces during the fierce years of World War II. $1 Million Highway, USA. Behind the flashy name, legend has it that the foundation of this road was built with waste rock filled with gold and silver scraps from the old mineral fever. You will be overwhelmed by mountains glowing red like bleeding, a great chemical phenomenon when tons of iron ore and sulfur oxidize in the blue sky. Deadly charm exists through beautiful turquoise streams that are actually water contaminated with toxic acid and heavy metals from old mines. Running along the edge of the 1,000-foot deep abyss, without guardrails, your wheels roll past rotting mining towers, standing lonely like dry skeletons of history. This is also where death lurks, with over 100 identified avalanche paths ready to sweep all life into the bottom in the blink of an eye during winter. The Million-Dollar Highway is a brutal testament to human aspiration, reminding us that the road to ultimate treasure always lies right next to death's door. Trollstigen and Test Pass, Morocco. Carved into the mountainside by the first large-scale industrial explosive blasts in history, this pass is a living museum preserving the bold French road-building techniques of the 1930s. Suspended at an altitude of 6,867 feet along a geological fault, the cliffs here are a magnificent chaos of shale and quartz, witnessing tectonic collisions from millions of years ago. Although TZ in the local language simply means pass, Western tourists often imply that this is truly a test of steel nerves before naked danger. This journey takes you on the most distinct climatic boundary on the planet, where the lush moisture of the Northern Ocean directly confronts the scorching heat of the pre-desert. Crossing TZN Test is a journey through time, where you leave modern cities behind to enter an ancient, slow, and harsh world. Halsema Highway, Philippines. Draped across the boiling faults of the Pacific Ring of Fire, this road appears as a silent killer hiding in a paradise shell. Named after the American engineer who gave birth to it in 1922, this vital path carries the burden of transporting 80% of the vegetables feeding the whole nation. Instead of monotonous rice fields, the mountainsides here are a giant quilt patched with millions of colorful vegetable terrace squares. Amidst towering pine trees reminiscent of cold North America, drivers are easily mesmerized and forget the abyss lurking right beside them. Loose clay geology combined with heavy rain turns cliffs into trapdoors, ready to permanently bury entire road sections at any time. The deep abysses here have become cold graves for countless ill-fated bus trips, turning Halsema into the most tragic song of survival. Eyre Highway, Australia. Likened to nature's white torture room, this road challenges the human mind with monotony so intense it can cause deadly hallucinations. It holds the Guinness record for boredom, with a straight stretch of 91 miles, where drivers just hold the wheel and stare into the void for hours. Running parallel is the world's longest sea cliff, marking where the Australian continent suddenly broke and fell vertically into the cold ocean millions of years ago. Canning Stockroute, Australia. Originally the world's longest historic cattle route, this journey is essentially a battle for survival across the burning heart of the Australian continent. Harshness is measured by crossing exactly 960 towering sand dunes, like driving over nearly 1,000 consecutive hills amidst 3 major deserts. Deadly traps lie in dry white salt lakes, where the slushy mud underneath is ready to swallow a 3-ton car forever without recovery. Life here is also threatening, with billions of flies seeking moisture from human eyes and wild camel herds ready to attack cars to fight for water sources. To survive, the unwritten rule is that every car must mount a 10-foot flag on the front, the only signal to avoid deadly head-on collisions when cresting blind dunes. Kolyma Highway, Russia. Built on the remains of hundreds of thousands of prisoners, this Siberian path is a 1,200-mile-long cemetery where every meter of road is soaked in historical tragedies. This journey challenges all survival limits as it crosses the coldest land on the planet, where temperatures can drop deeply to a record -96 degrees Fahrenheit. The entire roadbed sits precariously on permafrost, which can collapse at any time to turn the surrounding world into a bottomless quagmire. The harshness creates drunken forests with ghostly tilted trees and rotting bridges standing lonely as witnesses to human failure. Amidst the wilderness where brown bears and fierce wolves lurk, the road is not just a geographical path, but a tragic epic of human endurance. Cat and Fiddle Road, UK. Like a soft grey thread across the Green Valley carpet, this road reaches an altitude of 1,690 feet and is one of the most spectacular mountain passes in the UK. At the windy summit, the iconic local inn has now become the highest distillery in the country by utilizing pure spring water from the heart of the mountain. Travelers will be overwhelmed by continuous hairpin bends, where the view ahead suddenly disappears, following exciting slopes of up to 12%. On clear days, the thin air sharpens the scenery so much that you can see distant mountain ranges 50 miles away. However, the allure of this natural racetrack also comes with haunting statistics, as over 70% of serious accidents here involve high-capacity motorcycles. Once a sanctuary for illegal races, this road is now a symphony of speed, adventure, and the wild beauty of nature. Changla Pass, India. Like driving on the roof of the world at an altitude of 17,585 feet, where clouds float right at eye level, completely separated from the earth below. Even in the middle of the sunny summer, the road is still sandwiched between vertical eternal snow walls up to 10 feet high, creating a mesmerizing white ice canyon. The harshness is shown through the deadly temperature range when the sun just sets. The cold of -13 degrees Fahrenheit strikes instantly, freezing engine oil. The road surface is also a trap of melting ice streams at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, flowing fast, ready to freeze into hard rock at night or wash away vehicles during the day. This is the mandatory challenge gate to pass if you want to touch the paradise, which is the famous saltwater lake lying across the border in the distance. Kabala Kisoro Road, Uganda. Resembling a giant, pitch-black snake slithering through the valley, this asphalt road winds prominently against the deep green background of the East African Great Forest. Considered the least straight route on the dark continent, thousands of hairpin turns force drivers to steer constantly every 5 seconds to avoid plunging into the abyss. It is this majestic yet dangerous beauty that made Prime Minister Winston Churchill exclaim in amazement and liken this place to the Switzerland of Africa. Amidst that magnificent scene, chaos still exists through motorbikes carrying refrigerators or even coffins, weaving through curves at dizzying speeds. Luxor Al Hurghada Road, Egypt. Dubbed the Corridor of Death, the greatest fear here is the habit of drivers completely turning off their headlights at night to avoid attracting terrorists. Far from romantic golden sand dunes, this road cuts through a black rocky desert, jagged and sharp like the surface of a dead planet. Running along it are mountain ranges with monstrous shapes standing upright like the teeth of a stone monster, waiting to swallow lonely travelers. The ghost of the past still haunts through dense military checkpoints, reminding of the time when tourists had to move in convoys of hundreds of vehicles to save their lives. Ma Pileng Pass, Vietnam. It is no coincidence that this road is named Horse Nose, where the slope is so treacherous that even the most durable animals are exhausted and collapse. Rising above the deep green forests, the landscape here is a desert of billions of sharp cat-ear rocks pointing straight to the sky like cold spikes. At the foot of the pass is a fracture canyon, nearly 3,000 feet deep, a massive geological scar created from the Earth's crust hundreds of millions of years ago. Flowing at the bottom of the abyss is a river carrying a strange emerald green color, mixed from freshwater algae and calcium salts melting from ancient limestone cliffs. The harshness peaks when wind gusts are compressed in the narrow canyon, blowing hard enough to lift the handlebars and push travelers toward the deep abyss. It is this thorny and haunting beauty that honors Ma Pi Leng as the uncrowded king, dominating all the most majestic mountain passes in Vietnam.